Again, Auroville is the Auroville of Aurobindo and The Mother. This is foremost for me. If it's not for Aurobindo and The Mother, I will not be here. No, that's the whole essence of it. The whole creation of Auroville is to manifest the vision goal of Aurobindo and The Mother. We are invited to participate in that vision goal. It's very clear. We have these 3 core documents, which is a dream, the Auroville Charter, and to be a true Aurovilian. Those 3 documents are inseparable. You have to take it as an integral, like I said, it's a vision goal. The vision and the goal, because it's very clear from the dream, that's the vision. And all of that the Mother has written is what Aurobindo and the Mother has been writing about, what the ashram is all about. And the charter, which is on the day of the inauguration of Auroville, is very straightforward. Now, 2 years later, the Mother writes, to be a true Aurovilian. Just the title itself is very specific. And once you read all of those things in connection with both the dream and the Auroville Charter, it's complete. And in number 5 of to be a true Aurovilian is the specific prime directive of Auroville, which is the whole earth must prepare for the new species. And Auroville wants to work consciously to hasten that advent. So this is exactly what my first discovery of Aurobindo is on that one-liner. Man is a transitional being. He is not final. So that to be a true Aurovilian, number 5 is a reaffirmation of that. There are many different species, plant species, animal species, insect species. The Homo sapiens species is a mammal species. I'm a teacher of science. Yeah, that's why in India, the Vishnu avatars starts from the fish. And then eventually it becomes a tortoise, which is a reptile. And it evolves into a mammal, the boa. And then from there, half animal, half human, and then the dwarf, and all the human avatars. So you can see the transition in India is very clear. That's why India has got it in terms of understanding this existence that we are in. It's very scientific, but it's into symbolisms. You see, at some point in the understanding of the play, if right here, I'm sitting here, I'm just going to look 360 degrees. From here, I see all these things existing from the ground, the sky, the clouds. There is a conscious force that is upholding all this existence. And we're just talking about this space. You're talking about a universe in our present age with the Hubble telescope. You have billions of galaxies. And it's the same conscious force that is upholding and modulating all of that. So once you come to that level of understanding, everything that's happening is supposed to be what should be happening. Not at this point anymore, because my whole practice is what Aurobindo and the Mother calls the sunlit path, the surrender and bhakti to that conscious force which I have just spoken of, the force that is symbolized by the Mother, the one that gives birth. Also, us as humans, we have the human mother. You have all sorts of mother that gives birth. The nation, Mother India, Bharat Mata, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Universe. And the mother of all of that is the Supreme Divine Mother. Sri Aurobindo in his book, The Mother, has totally clarified all of that. I would recommend that book. It is a complete elaboration and clarification of who the Mother is. Not just the Mother that we call Mira Alfasa, but the Source Mother herself, which we call Mahashakti. No? And for me, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother are avatars, who are the direct incarnation of Ishwara Mahashakti. To be a true Aurovilian, you cannot fake that. Once you read through that, then that is already the guidance of how to be a true Aurovilian. And in number 1 of that says you have to discover our true self behind all this superficial existence, including our own body. We are the soul experiencing a human experience. That is the first necessity of to be a true Aurovilian, to discover that. Once you discover that, then you will discover that everything else, every human, every being on this planet is us, because there's only one. So this is the first realization. Even the Buddha is like that, no? Everything is one. So from there, all the fighting, all the what we call the result of this false separative ego mind that feels so separate from everything else, that obliterates. Then the fundamental oneness, the love and oneness that is fundamental, now surfaces. And you see everyone as part of you. So how can you even harm anyone who's you? The result of that, what we call, that is the knowledge of, or what we call the eternal truth of unity in diversity. That we are all one, but expressing ourselves in unique diversities, no? Which is quite obvious. So in India, we call that Sanatan Dharma, the eternal truth of unity in diversity. Now from there, from that eternal truth, we see that whatever is happening is one unfolding movement, is a self-correcting movement. Here we come to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, that within that movement of what seems to be opposites, what seems to be contradictory, are all complementary. And you have to play your role accordingly. Because the darkest of the dark is there, the brightest of the light is there, and everything else in between. So that's why in Auroville, that's the fundamental in the Auroville Charter. It says Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But in the third sentence, there's a big but. But to live in Auroville, one must be a willing servitor of the divine consciousness. That already implies that you can be a willing servitor of the undivine consciousness or the anti-divine consciousness. This is fundamental understanding in the oneness, remember? So the Mother, that is a fundamental choice that each one must make. That we are here to be willing servitors of the divine consciousness. If you're going to look at that in the teachings of the Gita, is you have to make a choice every time. The Dharma or the Adharma. The Pandavas or the Kauravas. The individual observing the play must make a choice. And in Auroville, that choice is a must. But to live in Auroville, one must be a willing servitor of the divine consciousness.